Hey everyone, this is Jason McAvoy with Jason and Portraits, and this is a quick tip tutorial. Well, I will walk you through the process that I use to remove some of the yellowing from teeth. Again, I always start by duplicating my layer. You can do Control or Command J on your keyboard to duplicate the layer. I have mine set up as an action, so I'm just going to click my duplicate layer action. We're going to come over here. You can cycle through letter O, which is your dodge, burn, and then sponge tool. So click sponge tool, and it typically is set to saturate, but we want to select desaturate. The flow, I usually keep between 20 and 25%, and that's really all we're going to be doing here. So then we want to zoom in nice and close. You can hold Control and your plus on your keyboard to get zoomed in a little bit more. And then I will just start removing and just painting over some of that. Take a little bit of the yellow out. So you can see how good it did. It turned it a little bit grayish, so we'll fix that here in a second. I hardly ever leave any of my adjustments at 100%, so we're going to scroll this back to about 90% on the layer opacity, and then I am going to create a brightness and contrast layer. If you do your drop down for your adjustment layers, it's just brightness and contrast. I'm going to bump the brightness up 20%. And I'm not going to want to keep it that bright, and I definitely don't want to brighten everything. I'm just wanting to apply that to the teeth. So whenever you do this adjustment layer, it's going to have a layer mask already attached to it. With your foreground black, you're going to hold Alt and Delete, and it will hide everything. It'll hide everything in that layer mask. And then you're going to come up and select your brush tool, or B. Set your foreground color to white. You can do that by pressing D and then X on your keyboard. And then we want to make the brush a lot smaller. You can adjust the brush by right-clicking and bringing it up here. I always use my bracket keys. And you want it to be fairly soft, so maybe about 10% or 9% should work. So now, make it a little bit bigger. We're just going to start painting in the brightness, and we'll reduce the opacity on this here in a minute, so it's not going to be glowing in the dark teeth. And you can hit your backslash key on your keyboard to check your where you've painted in your layer mask. Obviously I've missed some. Undo. So I'm going to go where all that was. And just cycling through. So those look too white. We're going to take this down to maybe 40%, let's say 50%. I think that looks good. So if you wanted to do one more thing, you could duplicate or actually merge the layers. That is Control, Alt, Shift, and Escape, I believe. Okay, and that's not Escape, that's Control, Alt, Shift, E. And that will merge all the layers below to their own layer above. I've got an action for it, merge visible. And you'll see it kind of stamps all of that and makes it its own. And then we're going to hit O and go to the dodge tool. I got midtones, exposure 3%. And we're just going to come over this and hit this a little bit. We're not going to be super careful because we just want a hint of the white. Doesn't really show through. I'm going to roll that back to about 50%. And I like to zoom out and look at it a little bit smaller, turn it off and on. And it's pretty subtle, but I'm happy with that. So now I would flatten. You can right click and say flatten image. I have an action set up for it, flatten, and I am done. So hopefully this helps. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.